Hi, everybody. Grant Stinchfield here. Welcome to Stinchfield, the podcast. The people of Britain are under siege. They are under attack from their own government. Free speech is not allowed anymore. How did we get to a point in the United Kingdom, which was basically the founder of free speech? I mean, we took our Constitution going all the way back to British days when you talked about freedom, and then they changed a little bit over there. But in the end, really, freedoms come from Britain, the Magna Carta, all of these things. So the home of freedom is now not even close to being free. How did we get to this point? I will tell you, Muslim immigration. You had Islamic immigration coming in rapid numbers, and to the point where they're taking over government inside England. Now, if you even speak out against it, they are arresting people. They are arresting people for offending someone. They are arresting people if you have a sign that they don't like on the side of your truck. I'm going to show you video of this. Folks, it's bad. And what I see happening there, I see happening here. Now, we have a First Amendment. They don't. I will protect it with every fiber of my being here in the United States. They don't have the luxury of a First Amendment. We do. But still, the Constitution is under attack in America, and I think we can learn from what England is experiencing, okay? So we're going to get into that on the program. I'm going to play for you some of these videos, and quite frankly, it is eye-popping to see what is happening there with all of this. But before we get into that, let me tell you about my friends over at Augusta Precious Metals. Here's the website I want you to go to, grantlovesgold.com, because I don't know if you knew this, but the biggest threat to your retirement right now is not something that is talked about often. It is our increased longevity in America. We are living longer, and that means default retirement accounts like IRAs and 401ks are not lasting. They will not suffice. So if you have over $50,000 in your retirement account, get instant access to a free 2-minute video. It is a report from Augusta Precious Metals that reveals the one step you can take to secure your financial future. Here's what you do. Visit grantlovesgold.com, grantlovesgold.com, or text GRANT to 35052. That's GRANT to 35052. Do it today. Watch that video and take the steps necessary to protect that nest egg that you worked so hard for. All right, with that, let's get the show started.
Uncensored and unapologetic. This is Stinchfield. Here's your host, Grant Stinchfield.
All right, welcome everybody. I am outraged by what is happening in Great Britain, and I see the signs of what's happening there starting to happen here in the United States on many fronts. We already know censorship exists in the United States. All you have to do is peruse YouTube, and you won't see me. Now, if you go right to my address, you'll see me, but they've shadow banned me there and so many other places. They don't like the truth here in the United States. I'm talking about the big tech oligarchs and the people that they report to, deep state, Democrats. You know the drill. You know the drill. England has the same situation going on. We are also experiencing a Muslim invasion in America. Now, I'm not saying that if you're Muslim, you can't practice that religion here in the United States, but if you practice Sharia law, that's a no-go on my front. You can't usurp the laws of the United States of America. Well, Muslims have come into Great Britain and basically taken over all forms of government. The British leaders are so worried about offending the Muslim population that they shut everyone else up. They make it a crime to offend somebody else. Being a loser, wimp, pansy that can't take the heat should be a crime, in my opinion, but that's not how they look at things. They want to stop you from speaking the truth so you don't offend somebody else, and guess what happens in the process? You lose the country. When you look at some of the videos that is going on, it is nothing short of amazing. I want you to watch this. This is a couple. They're in their truck. They've got signage on the truck, I believe, that says England first or Britain first, something like that. That's offensive, apparently. Can you imagine?
You're just holding us up for no reason.
Okay.
Have we committed a crime? We're just trying to have a discussion at the minute.
No, I'm asking you a question. Have we committed a crime?
So at the minute, you've got the word wanker that's displayed on the side. So someone might take offence to that. I know, obviously, you might see it as a different way, but technically, it's a public order offence.
The only person who would take offence to that is Keir Starmer. Everyone else agrees with it.
I'm not saying anything in terms of that. I've got to remain biased, but...
Britain first. He's got plastered on the side of his truck, Keir Starmer, the leader of Britain right now. Yeah, he'd take offense to it because he's a globalist. He's a global elitist that doesn't like the people, that wants power and wants liberal rule by these radicals that are trying to take over America. Same group. Have I committed a crime? The answer in England right now is yes. They have these free speech laws that are nothing about free speech that makes it a crime to, quote, offend people. And if somebody's offended by your Britain First sign, they're going to arrest people.
That's obviously why I've come down to...
But if we've not committed a criminal offence, then can we go?
Well, just for the time being, we've got...
It's in terms of, you've got Britain First written on the side of your van.
So?
What's wrong with that? It's a prescribed organisation.
No, it's not.
What?
It's a registered political party.
Just give us 2 seconds to run everything through. But obviously you're detained at the minute.
We're detained.
You know why.
We're detained. Because we're
It's a prescribed
terrorist organisation.
What? That is
Terrorist organization. He says, see, now he's poking fun. Britain First, I guess, is a political party in England. It's on the side of the truck, and they detain them. Could you imagine if I have America First on the side of my truck getting detained? Possibly in California it'll happen. Certainly you walk in or drive into these blue cities, you'll have people throwing rocks at you. Drive a Tesla when Elon Musk was working with the president. Boy, that was a dangerous go. See how the similarities are happening?
it's insane.
Heavens.
Prescribed terrorist organisation when we are a registered political party. A registered political party.
Unbelievable. It's got Britain First on the side and we're prescribed. And look how ridiculous it is. Turn the camera around and look over there.
Look over here. This is where they've pulled us up.
Yeah.
That's right there. Illegal immigrants. Yet we're a prescribed terror organisation, according to that police officer.
There you go. That sums it up, man. Does that not feel like America in some respects? They're stopping law-abiding citizens. And meanwhile, you got illegal aliens, I assume, that are hanging out over there, and the police do nothing about it. Folks, take the warning right now from what's going on in England. They are shutting the people up. Do you think this woman is an evil terrorist going to just create such violent harm to the people of England? Is she so dangerous the thought police have to come and arrest her? Her sign says coercion is a crime, here to talk only if you want.
This is Rose Doherty standing outside the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Glasgow this afternoon. Let's see what happens next.
So we are aware of the legislation that said this is a restricted area for protests. So you're within this restricted area. You're aware of that? Right. Rose, at this moment in time, the time is $1,500. I'm going to charge you. I'm going to charge you, but before I do so, I'm causing you. You're not obliged to say anything. Anything you do say will be noted down and may be used in evidence. The offence is, now in this day and date, you did involve yourself in a protest, which within a restricted zone that's likely to cause distress or harm to others. Contrary to Section 4 of the abortion.
In a restricted zone, causing stress or harm to others. You understand that her sign says something about coercion and here to talk. Coercion. Let's see. Let me read it again. Coercion is a crime. This is here.
Doherty.
Coercion is a crime, is what her sign says. Now, the police stop her for that sign. What's going to happen to her? Let's see.
Street. I will ask you to leave this area now. If you refuse to do so, you will be arrested for refusing to desist and you will be taken to a station.
If she doesn't leave, she's going to be arrested for holding a sign up that says coercion is a crime. You know, the thumbnail for this podcast says the truth matters. They're going to arrest me for that. There's talk that they're arresting foreigners as they come into England for speech on social media. They have sections of police departments that are scouring social media looking for people that are offering up offensive things on social media. And this old lady is out there, coercion is a crime, here to talk only if you want to. That's offensive speech.
So I'm going to kindly ask you to move on from here. Hang up to yourself where you want to do it, please. That's fine. I'm going to speak with my gaffer. You have been charged with the offence.
They charge her. She's not leaving.
I'm asking nicely. You will be reported for the offence. FTB will report that. Okay?
How does that cop live with himself? You know, this is where it's interesting because the Democrats were telling the United States military not to follow unlawful orders. The problem is, in England, they don't have a constitution like we do. So you can't say something's unconstitutional, but it defies human rights. All right, our rights as human beings are not laid out by the Constitution. They're laid out, they're inalienable rights given to us by our Creator. Now, certainly they're breaking that, but they don't have a Constitution. But I would say if you're a cop in America and you were going to go do something like this, you've got to ask yourself, well, this is certainly an unlawful order. And the Democrats are worried about President Trump sending the National Guard in to give some peace to the people of these blue cities everywhere to stop the criminals in their tracks. This is the definition of an unlawful order. So what happens? You get guys like this guy who has been outspoken on social media. I'm going to play this clip for you. They've arrested him, charged him with crimes. He can't even travel freely.
Ryan, what's going on? Can I go with them in French? Why is that? What's going on here? They let you out?
Yeah, but look, terrorism, Schedule 7.
But what did you actually do for them to suspect that?
Terrorism, okay? So this guy, Ryan, is a social media free speech activist. And a Section 7 terrorism charge?
They said it was my social media post.
They can take the Sharia law and shove it.
There's only one culture that pours acid on women's faces.
So, yeah, for
against mass migration and Islam?
Exactly. So I had to give them all my passwords for my phone, all my passwords for my social media, all my laptop. They've taken all my phones, laptop, everything, banking, everything. I was saying the truth that Prophet Muhammad slept with a 9-year-old and married a 6-year-old, which makes him a pedophile. So that's what I was saying. And now I'm getting investigated for terrorism. This is way worse than I could ever have thought. I thought I'd just be a normal criminal, like being done for hate speech, but I don't want to get done for being a terrorist. That's something different. So
I mean, the consequences are more severe.
Yeah, well, if I go to jail for being a terrorist, that's a lot worse than just hate speech.
Go to jail for being a terrorist because you said negative things about Islam, which he also said truthful things about Islam. The truth doesn't matter anymore. I'm telling you, this is why this is such a problem, because the truth has been 100% completely thrown out here. Thrown out the window. So this is on the floor of the parliament.
We are witnessing the steady expansion of what are essentially speech crimes, offences where there is no violence, no real threat of violence, and often no identifiable victim at all. Yet people are facing dawn raids, criminal records, ankle tags, and even lengthy prison sentences for words, for arguments, for opinions that somebody somewhere claims to find offensive.
It's about as outrageous as it gets. And we're seeing this all over the place. It's got to stop, folks. It really does. And this is the warning for America. Okay? It is the warning for America. Wake up. It happens in Britain. It's happening now. All right, listen to me. I want you to do something for me. We're coming into the holidays. I want you to switch your family to Patriot Mobile. Go to patriotmobile.com/Grant. You could use another promo code called, I believe it's Friday 25. And that will get you all kinds of savings. patriotmobile.com/Grant. And you can still tell them the Grant sent you. They'll give you all the discounts that you possibly can get. But now's the time to switch your family over to Patriot Mobile. Stop funding the woke left. Stop funding the ideology of these radicals. Because let's face it, Verizon, AT&T, that's where they're funding. They're giving the money to these radical groups, Planned Parenthood, all the other stuff. Not Patriot Mobile. These guys are fabulous. patriotmobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT. 972-PATRIOT. Just ask them, what's your latest discount for Black Friday? I believe it's Friday 25, okay? And it's good now. So get with them. 972-PATRIOT. You tell them that I sent you, Grant Stinchfield, and you're not going to regret it. 100% U.S.-based customer service. You choose what network you want to be on. You can have 2 separate lines from 2 different networks on one phone. You cannot beat that. Again, patriotmobile.com/Grant. All right. Now I want to talk about Ukraine. Zelensky is now caught up in the fight of his life. Look at this.
In news, Zelensky is building a massive 1.5 and new reports confirm it's being funded by one of Zelensky's own companies. He's reportedly invested $500 million of his own money and is getting major financial backing from BlackRock.
Let me ask you a question. Where's he getting $500 million of his own money? From you and me, by the way.
This project ask.
Maybe someone should ask, where's the money going? We don't really want to be funding a ski resort. Well, it gets worse than that. His inner circle now is responsible for what they're calling the golden toilet situation, and that it's gotten really, really bad. I want to play my segment from Real America's Voice where I talked to George Papadopoulos about this. George is one of the premier experts when it comes to Ukraine, relations over there, what's going on, and he's got some insight like no one's business. So let's get to that, and I hope you enjoy it. I want to bring in now former member of the Foreign Policy Advisory Panel to Donald Trump and author of Deep State Target. Nobody knows that part of the world like George Papadopoulos. He is our guest. George, it's great to see you.
Thanks a lot for having me, Grant.
All right, George, what do you make of all of this?
Yeah, I mean, this is really as astonishing as it is predictable, right? I mean, what's really being showcased here, Grant, for millions of people in the United States and around the world is showcasing that Ukraine is truly one of the most corrupt countries on the European continent. If what America first in foreign policy means is projecting power, sustaining alliances, and promoting energy security, not underwriting corrupt regimes and their cronies, which are earmarking U.S. taxpayer dollars to not only purchase and to live in this lavish lifestyle with gold toilets and to flee their country and to go to other countries with hundreds of millions of dollars. But the United States right now under President Trump understands that they've already signed a mineral agreement with the Zelensky administration. They're guaranteeing security guarantees to Ukraine in exchange for peace. But what does Putin want in return? What he wants is recognition of the facts on the ground. That is, for the United States and other countries to recognize Crimea as Russian territory and Donbass, and to allow the Russian language to be spoken freely without persecution in Russia. This reportedly has all now been agreed to by the Trump administration. But what's happening here, Grant? The Zelensky regime does not want the gravy train to stop running. They're going to their European partners and saying, we don't agree with this proposal. So now it's going to be very interesting to see how Zelensky and Trump negotiate this with Putin. Whether the Trump administration accepts Zelensky or not, that's going to be the key moving forward.
What do you think will happen, George?
I think Zelensky and his cronies want the gravy train to continue. I think the over $200 billion in U.S. taxpayer money that has been sent does not even put into account the billions of euros that the Europeans have sent to Ukraine. But what's the end result here, Grant? The more the fighting continues, the more men and civilians that the Ukrainians are losing. They're not actually taking back any of their land. Thousands and thousands of Russians are dying in the front lines. You have North Korean troops now entering the fight. And what's the United States actually looking at in this situation? How to stop the killing and how to bring U.S. business and investment to the region. You can't do that with war ongoing. So I think Zelensky is going to be forced to stop this one way or another. If not, the aid is going to run out, the U.S. military arms will run out, and the Ukrainians will keep dying and losing more territory.
All right, so we've, as you've said, sent billions of dollars over there. Europeans have spent billions of dollars over there. Now we see his inner circle. I've got to believe Zelensky knew about this. My thought was always that Zelensky was lining his pockets too. Is there any evidence of that?
Yeah, certainly. So I've actually traveled to Ukraine before the war broke out. My wife was working on this incredible documentary called Ukraine 30 Years Post-Independence. And what I learned on the ground before the war even started is that this country is really one of the most corrupt since its founding of 30 years after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So clearly, with all of this money going into the Ukrainian oligarchs and the Zelensky administration, Zelensky's own pockets, allegedly. Of course he knew what was going on here. This is just basically the modus operandi of how some of these most corrupt and nefarious organizations and individuals have been operating in Ukraine for decades. There's nothing new here, Grant, and unfortunately, it's going to continue. The U.S. taxpayers are never going to see a return on their investments, and more people are going to die if this madness does not stop.
You know, it's interesting. A lot of this corruption is surrounding the energy industry. They had to protect these energy plants from Putin, and then all these kickbacks started flowing is the allegations. But then I started to think, okay, well, energy and natural gas. Well, wasn't that the Bidens' play in there? Wasn't that Hunter Biden's play? Is there any leftover connections to the Bidens with any of this corruption going on now? Any evidence of that, George?
Well, this really all starts under the Biden and the Obama administration in 2014, when they basically instigated a coup and then installed people like Hunter Biden in these very cushy, no-show jobs, being paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in a sector which is rife with corruption, meaning the energy sector, for somebody like Hunter Biden, who was dealing with his own demons, his drug problems, and he had absolutely no experience whatsoever in natural gas. Fast forward now, after that entire industry was basically corrupted from within, we now see once again that it is, again, the most corrupt enterprise and industry in all of Ukraine. And unfortunately, Grant, for the Europeans, most of these gas pipelines that actually go from Russia into the European continent traverse Ukraine. And that's why the Europeans now are being held hostage to the whims of the Ukrainian oligarchs in this shady industry. The American enterprises under President Trump are now exporting energy finally to the European continent. It's a disaster for the Europeans, for everybody involved. And fortunately, President Trump is going to end this.
Yeah. Let's hope so. George Papadopoulos, always great to see you. I appreciate you coming on. Your insight's great on this, and we're grateful. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Grant. Thank you.
All right, folks, you know I tell you all the time about Energized Health. They helped me lose 15 pounds in literally 2 weeks. I've kept it off. It is my go-to protocol. People call me about Energized Health more than any other sponsor we have of this program, asking me, does that really work? And I can't tell you how many times people call me back and say, thank you so much for introducing us to Energized Health. I want you to watch this. It's greatness.
I'm 37 years old, and I went and got some labs done. I found out I was diabetic, so I got put on blood pressure medicine, diabetes medicines, a ton of stuff.
It was very, very scary getting those numbers in, especially with a 9-month-old baby and a 3.5-year-old son. We're too young to waste our life away on, the things that we were doing.
Over these past 3 months, it's been amazing.
We've lost 115 pounds in 88 days.
My A1C went from a 10.7 down to a 4.7.
Boom! Truly has been not life-changing only, but life-saving.
It's a part of us forever now,
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is the kind of story I love hearing. We hear it over and over again. John Jubilee, the founder of Energized Health, is with me. John, welcome to the program, and happy Thanksgiving to you as well, my friend.
Well, back at you, Grant. And hey, there's a couple that has something to be thankful for, right?
Absolutely. You know, what I was struck by is that here he is. He says he's 37 years old. He's got all these problems, but you turn it around. I would imagine this is a story that you hear, sadly, probably too often. Sad part that he's got the problems. The great part is that he turns it around.
Well, here's what's amazing, Grant, and this is a cool tie-in. If you listen to the whole interview that those guys did, and that was just on one of our Tuesday night calls, not really an interview. They're just sharing their testimony within our community. So their parents signed up through your show. So their parents signed up through Grant Stinchfield, and then their parents told them, you kids have to try this program. Like, with that horrible medical report you just got, what do you have to lose? So the kids followed the parents. And then, are you kidding me, Grant, that the wife, you heard her say that, right? She said it's really scary. Well, she later went on to say she would go to sleep beside her husband. She was terrified. She was going to wake up with a corpse. She thought, I'm going to wake up with a dead husband laying beside me. This guy's not even going to live. I'm going to be raising these two small children alone. That was the fear that the wife really had, Grant. And a lot of times, and she never said it to her husband, though. She said, of course, I would never say that to my husband. I didn't want to, hurt his feelings. But here she's going to bed every night with those kind of feelings, that real fear of that health issue that could take her husband's life. Yeah. And then don't you love it how she nonchalantly says, we lost 115 pounds.
Amazing.
That's a human. That's a jockey riding a horse in the Kentucky Derby. Those guys weigh 115 pounds. They lost a human out of their body.
It gets me thinking as you talk about, she's thinking about her husband who might wake up dead. And here we are, we're coming in Thanksgiving, and there's going to be some challenges as you have all these parties. And I think about people wanting to get on the Energized Health protocol. They want to lose some pounds so they can look good in the cocktail dress, or maybe they're going on vacation and look good in your bikini. You forget that there are people out there that need to go through this because it's about life or death, John. Not a cocktail dress or a bikini, but life or death.
Yeah. Hey, and Grant, you know what? That was my story. When I had high blood pressure and hypertension, I'm bone on bone in my knees. Grant, I didn't care how I looked. I really didn't. I wasn't trying to take off my shirt, look cool in a picture. Man, I just wanted to feel better, Grant. I wanted to feel better, and I didn't want to have to worry about having a stroke or a heart attack, which is two things that happen. When you have high blood pressure, you are one step away from a stroke, from a heart attack, or an aneurysm, which all of those things can kill you and ruin your life. Yeah, sometimes, Grant, for us, it is life and death. Sometimes we don't even realize it's life and death. And these guys, they took a step, though. They changed their life. And thank you, Grant, for being a voice of truth, like you are on your podcast and your Real America's Voice program.
Well, it's always, an honor to be a voice and to represent people like you and all of Stinchfield's army out there. And when I hear stories like this, it really makes me smile, because it does mean we're doing something and we're making a difference on so many levels, not just political, but on the health front as well. So before I let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. We have Thanksgiving coming up. What do you tell people? I mean, should you just skip the party altogether? And if they haven't started the Energized Health protocol and they're not at the point where, you can get away with cheating here or there, what are you telling people before they come to you?
No, I'm so glad you asked me this question. You know what we tell everyone in our community? Eat. It's Thanksgiving. It's one day a year. You are not going to destroy your success. When you reset your hypothalamus, when you reset your metabolism, like how we teach people to do, it's not going to hurt you to enjoy your Thanksgiving. So, that's the only time of the year people have their sweet potato casserole, their green bean casserole. There's things you eat at Thanksgiving you don't eat any other time of the year. Your pumpkin pie or your pecan pie. It's not going to hurt you to celebrate on Thanksgiving. So we tell our community, enjoy yourself. God gave you taste buds because food tastes good. And now look, but if you do it, you better come join us because you know what? You may gain one of these. You may gain one of these on Thanksgiving, but we helped. Listen, those guys lost 35 of these. That couple you just saw lost 35 fat blobs.
Hey,
you can lose your Thanksgiving flat bob.
I lost 5 of those, and I was in pretty good shape, which means all that shit was around my organs and inside my stomach. You didn't even necessarily see all of it, and to me, it was just disgusting that I had 3 of those to lose. But I did, and I'm grateful to you, John. Let me do this. I'm going to tell people how they can find you and the masterclass, and I appreciate you coming on, as always.
Thank you, brother.
Happy Thanksgiving again, John. And folks, listen, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to energizedhealth.com. There is a masterclass there, right? I want you to watch it and learn about intercellular hydration and then ask yourself, is it time for you to take back your life with a mind, body, soul program that will be a protocol you can rely on literally for the rest of your life? It's not some fad diet, not some crazy workout. There's no boot camps where you're left dead at the end of it. This is a really, really, really simple program, and it works. Take it from me. It worked for me. EnergizedHealth.com. That's EnergizedHealth.com. You know, one of the things that I wanted to go over was this seditious behavior on behalf of those veterans, and I say military veterans that happen to be elected leaders, former CIA, former military Democrats, who told people in the intelligence community and the United States military to disobey orders from President Trump. To me, it most certainly is seditious behavior. President Trump truthed out, hang them. That's what George Washington would do. Do I think that President Trump really wants to hang these people? No, I don't. But I will say that President Trump is making a point. He's making a point that when you tell people to disobey orders of a commander-in-chief, and there's no evidence that any of the orders that he gave were unlawful orders, that you are putting lives at risk, you're sacrificing and endangering national security, and that is a real problem. So I'm going to go through this Representative Jason Crow's interview with Martha McCallum. It was last week, but it's worth breaking down because I think there's something bigger at play here. And General Michael Flynn talked to me about this. That bigger issue at play is I think they're specifically talking, not just to the United States military, but almost secretly talking to those inside the intelligence community. And remember, the intelligence community includes the United States military, one of the largest intel operations that we have as a government. So let's just review their little video.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Let's see. Here we go. Well, is it not working?
Mark Kelly. Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence
All right, so having problems with that video. So you can see right there that they literally want military intelligence to disobey orders. And you had a former CIA in there, and that is very telling because this reminds me a lot of the 51 Spies letter about the Hunter Biden laptop. Same technique here. Go get a bunch of people that appear to be credible, even though you and I both know they aren't, and then somehow, you know, let them give the message out that you want to give and cause all kinds of chaos, which is what they would be doing here, is causing massive amounts of chaos. So Representative Crow went on with Martha McCallum. This is his interview with her.
Well, you know, that's unfortunate that in politics these days, people grab something and twist it and contort it and lie.
Some might say that
make it into
you have
something
grabbed
it's
something
not.
and twisted it and contorted it. You have, you know, you're talking to young members of the American military, and you're not telling them specifically what it is they should see as illegal. So you're putting ideas into their head that maybe they're being asked to do something illegal. And what we're seeing actually is recruitment rising. And people wanting to join the military under the president.
Here's an interesting fact for you, Martha. Our men and women actually are very smart, very incredible men and women in our military. And
you don't have to tell me that.
Well, apparently I do.
No, you don't, sir. I have great respect for the United States military.
Well, you don't think they can handle a reminder about federal law and the UCMJ, is what I'm hearing. And a recent survey showed that 8 out of 10 service members deeply understand their obligation of lawful orders.
Which is exactly why you don't need to be giving a reminder. And there's no evidence that President Trump gave an unlawful order. Look how disrespectful he is to her, by the way. Apparently you don't. And what is it about Democrats? I'm shocked this guy was a member of the military. What is it about Democrats and their beta male, weak voice, weakling little attitudes? This guy needs, an attitude adjustment. Let's just say that.
Right? 8 out of 10. So we want to get that. That should be 10 out of 10. But this is something that they're trained on. Go and look at the training. Maybe even go and participate or observe some of the training that our men and women go through. It is incredible. We expect a lot of these men and women. They go through very intense, rigorous training because they're put in intense, rigorous positions. And frankly, I bristle at the notion that they can't handle a suggestion or a reminder of what the law requires them to do and what the Constitution requires them to do. You actually
I bristle at the fact that you're giving them a reminder they don't need. You just admitted they don't need this reminder. And who are you talking to and what are you telling them to disobey? Name me an order. They cannot name an individual order that President Trump had given that they think is somehow unlawful. They'll crow about sending the National Guard into these cities, but by and large, the people that are under siege from criminality in these cities want the National Guard there.
Disparage them when you say that a simple reminder is something they cannot handle.
You're wrong. You're 100% wrong. I didn't disparage them in any way. In fact, I give them enormous credit.
Oh, I want to literally take this guy and have an argument with him. I don't want to resort to violence, right? Because they'll tell you I want to resort to violence. But I would love to stand toe-to-toe with this a-hole, because that's what he really is right now. That is a woman you're talking to, by the way. Now, Martha McCallum can take care of herself. She doesn't need me defending her, and she's doing a great job of that. But how dare you speak down to her the way you're doing and twist and turn her words around? You're a sick loser.
You don't think they can handle reminders about their legal obligations?
I think
These men and
perhaps
women certainly
if it
can handle
was
it.
specific and they could figure out what order you're referring to. I have the most deep respect for everyone who serves in the military, including you, sir, for the sacrifice that you made. I did not make that sacrifice myself, so I put everyone who makes that sacrifice in a very special place in my heart. And I believe they're there to serve the country. So you have put out this video. It's getting a lot of attention. I thank you for joining me to talk about it. And I think, people can look at it and take away from it what they want. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to be specific about what illegal actions you were referring to. So thank you for being here, Congressman, and thank you again for your service. All right, let's bring in...
I mean, unbelievable. So, again, he can't give a specific as to what order was somehow unlawful by President Trump. So the question then becomes, is it seditious behavior? Is it treasonous to turn the United States military against the commander-in-chief? I actually believe it is. Stephen Miller agrees with me.
It is insurrection, plainly, directly, without question. And when you have one of the lawmakers on that video being unable to state in, as you say, lengthy cross-examination, a single so-called illegal order, it just proves the point. It's a general call for rebellion from the CIA and the armed services of the United States by Democrat lawmakers, saying that you have not only the right but the duty and the obligation to defy orders of the commander-in-chief, that those who carry weapons in America's name should defy their chain of command and engage in open acts of insurrection, that the CIA, the clandestine service, which isn't even legally authorized to operate in the United States, should engage in, again, acts of rebellion and insurrection. These lawmakers should honestly resign in disgrace and never return to public office again.
I agree. Stephen Miller's great, but it is about running an insurrection. It is about a coup, which is what the Democrats have always engaged in. And it is a wink and a nod to the intelligence community to somehow disobey President Trump and the commander-in-chief. You know, again, I go back to my conversation with General Flynn that I had a couple days ago. And General Flynn was saying Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, has her hands full. There is so much going on behind the scenes. The deep state is very real. I'm not even convinced she's getting legitimate information. And if she can't get legitimate information, then how in the world is the president going to get legitimate information? If President Trump cannot trust his intelligence community, then how in the world are we supposed to run this country and keep all of us safe on a global stage? And I believe the intelligence community right now is continuing to undermine President Trump. They can't stand that he wants to drain the swamp. They can't stand that he wants to check their unfettered power. He wants to literally body check it, and they can't stand it. So they dispatch their lawmakers, and it really is. It's not the Democrat lawmakers that are calling the shots. The deep state and the media works together to call the shots, and I think the Democrat lawmakers are just the soldiers. It's clear they can't think for themselves. They're all blind liberal zombies like robots. Sadly, these robots have been turned into an army of insurrectionists. So I'm with Stephen Miller. They need to resign. All right, folks, listen to me. Do you have one of these yet? This is what every household needs. It's a prescription medication kit. In it, 8 of the most powerful prescription medications that you would need to keep you and your family safe. There's ivermectin in here. We got antivirals, antiparasitics, and antibiotics in here. Amoxicillin. There's a Z-Pack in here. Things that you will need to keep your family safe in case there's a power outage, in case there is a natural disaster, in case there's a terrorist attack, drugstores closed down, cyber attacks. What it be? You need one of these on hand. If you have food, you have water, that's great. If you have ammunition, like me, lots of it, that is great. The bottom line is, though, you need one of those prescription medication kits, and while you're at it, you might as well just get the field kit. This is the best one of all. It is, I mean, if you want to be a badass prepper, this is the kit that you need. If I can get it open here, I'll show it to you. And it's got everything you need in this kit to keep you and your family safe. And why can't I get it open? There we go. In it, right here, an EpiPen included. You got kids, they got friends coming over, get stung by a bee, you want to have one of these. That'll save a life. So many other prescription medications, steroids in here as well. Everything you and your family would need to keep yourself safe in times of a disaster. That's the badass kit. TWC.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for big savings. Okay. TWC.health/grant. Use the promo code GRANT. I urge you, get the field kit. Do it today. So later this week, I'm going to go back and revisit the moon landing. Now, I'm skeptical about this moon landing. You look at the video of the moon landing, and I start to think to myself, this looks like a bad sci-fi movie from the 1960s. Like, remember that TV show Lost in Space and all those crazy Star Trek video TV shows? That's what it looks like. It looks like a bad Hollywood production. I am more skeptical than I have ever been on the moon landing hoax, and I use this example. I live in Dallas. I can't get a cell phone signal in so many areas in one of the biggest cities in the country, and you're telling me they could get a clear as day signal from the moon to Earth in 1969? I mean, skeptical. And then, of course, they got the video of the lunar lander taking off from the moon with the cameraman left behind. Oh, it was remote. And they could send that signal back to Earth. Come on. We didn't have that technology as they make it out to be. So I'm very, very skeptical. And then I saw these guys, my son watches. They're podcasters, and they're interesting, funny guys. I will say that. And I thought I would play for you the clip they did about the moon as a tease for Wednesday. And I urge you to watch this podcast, okay? On Wednesday, we're going to go through the good, the bad, the real, the fake, the conspiracy, the non-conspiracy, why it happened, why it didn't happen, and then we'll let you decide, okay? But here's a little teaser.
Here's all the proof that we've never been to the moon.
Okay, I totally believe that we have never been there.
Well, in case you had any doubt, I want to settle the score.
I have doubt.
The first fact, there's 5 facts. First one, there's no atmosphere or wind on the moon.
Which means, why is the flag flying?
Yes, why is the flag flying? Why is it waving around if there's no wind and no atmosphere on the moon? It doesn't make any sense.
Do you want me to tell you why?
Because we didn't go there.
Because it was in a studio in LA.
Okay.
So I tell this to all my old gin card playing buddies, my gin game buddies, and they're all in their 70s. I said, I don't think it happened. Now, remember, this was the pinnacle of their lives. They're like they're like my father's age. My dad's 82, I guess. This was the event of their lives. We went to the moon. We landed on the moon. Don't tell them that it's fake. Holy macaroni. You think I would have told them that Jesus didn't exist. So they say it was a solid flag. They put it up there. It wasn't waving. Okay, maybe. Good argument. I don't know. Were they smart enough to think of a solid flag to take up there? I don't know. And that Mars rover running around there, you got a dune buggy. Where did that get carried from in the rocket? The dune buggy. No one has explained that to me. I promise you that wasn't in the rocket that took them there.
Second one is that stars are visible on the moon.
Yeah.
If you go back, you watch videos, you watch clips of the first moon landing, everything.
There's no stars.
There's no stars in the background. It's just black sky, which doesn't make any sense.
You really don't have to convince me, but this is more for the audience.
It is. It's for the
audience. I do not
audience.
believe it happened.
You know the videos of the people jumping on the moon?
All right, so no stars. I go through this on Wednesday. Stars from the moon would be the most beautiful place to watch the galaxy from the moon. There is no light infiltration. There's no light pollution. You would have the most beautiful view of stars, and there's none during this moon landing.
Yes.
Like they walk around, they're taking their first steps and everything. They look all jolly and joyous.
It looks like they're wired in.
Yeah, well, they're getting like 3 to 4 inches off the ground, which isn't high at all. Like you could jump that on Earth easily. For every 0.6 meters, they should be jumping 2.7 meters in the air. That's the gravity difference. So be able to come like only 3-4 inches off the ground while they're hopping.
They should be flying.
They basically should be flying. Exactly.
2.7 meters is like a lot of meters.
You ever see a picture of the first footprint?
All right, so what he's saying is gravity is supposed to take you higher because the gravity is not as strong. Then they're jumping. I'm sure somebody did the math, and I'm sure it's probably true. Now, here's the other part of those spacesuits. You see them rolling around on the atmosphere. You see them jumping around, playing like kids in a sandbox. If you're, God knows how many miles from Earth, and you're in a place where there's no oxygen, and that suit is your lifeline, would you not be ultra careful in that suit that you don't rip it, that you don't break a seal, that you don't have something come loose? You're going to be rolling around, jumping around like it's like everything's fine. I don't know. I'd be way more careful running around in that suit than they were.
On the moon?
I think so, but I'll look it up. Why?
Okay, so Neil Armstrong supposedly had his first step on the moon, and the footprint has like these ridges and like whatever.
Yes, I see it now.
So then if you look up Neil Armstrong's spacesuit, the bottom foot does not match the footprint. There's no ridges. It's a pretty smooth foot, proving that we did not go there.
You would think that they would think this through before faking the entire thing. At least make it semi-believable.
It's
they can't
crazy.
even do that.
So,
they can't even.
Look at that. I want you to see, those are the footprints. One is the space boots with no ridges. The footprint on the moon has the ridges. Explain that to me.
A footprint, right?
And then there's a video of like the actual spaceship land.
All right, this is the funny one, because even the spaceship taking off and landing, it just looks phony.
On the moon, or like them touching ground. Who was filming it?
I don't know.
It's literally from the moon perspective, them coming down. Who was there filming it?
It's also like, how do you? Yeah, I don't get it.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a moon believer.
I mean, realistically, I am too, but I just like playing the bit.
Well, realistically, I don't know if I am anymore. I don't know. You know, every conspiracy theory that I've had has ultimately turned out to be true, from the COVID craziness to the election steal to they want chaos in the streets and they're setting criminals free. All of it turned out to be true. Will this one turn out to be true? I don't think we'll ever know. Just like JFK and the release of the files, whatever files we wanted either weren't in there or it wasn't what it seems. We'll never know. Our government is very, very good at keeping secrets. And that's the sad reality of things. All right, folks. Tomorrow we'll have a podcast as well as we head into Thanksgiving weekend. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Great to be with you. Stinchfield airs tonight. There's going to be a guest host in for me on RAV, but make sure you tune in 7 p.m. Eastern time on Real America's Voice. And I want you all to have yourself a fabulous Thanksgiving. God bless all of you. We'll see you tomorrow.